Uh,
Hello.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good, good.
Good.
How's your Chinese? Is it pretty good?
I know how to get a coffee.
What do you say? Coffee?
Coffee. Yeah,
That's funny.
yeah, my Chinese is not good,
Yeah,
but you don't have to speak Chinese.
yeah. I've been there a couple of times. Yeah, it's true. It's true. What's funny though, we were with my people who were selling my product there, so they wanted to treat us. So I was with my wife. So they took us to some faraway place in the middle of nowhere. They say it's the best tea in the world. So I'm looking forward to this place. They're going and going and take us. It's like there's no one around. It's like abandoned like shack. And they give us this tea. It was the worst thing I ever tasted. I thought it was a practical joke. It tasted like dirt. And they were polishing. Oh my God. I'm like, this is not for me. Not for me.
No,
Ay, ay, ay.
where did you go when you were in China?
We went, Shanghai, Beijing. We went to
Ah,
a place called Taiyuan, not Taiwan. It's a mining place. It's like in the middle of the country. It has 3 million people. They have a
yeah,
Hermes. They have a yeah, Gucci. It's like crazy. The middle of no place.
yeah.
They mine manganese there. So my representative for my product, he was the biggest mine owner there. He had all this money. He didn't know what to do with it.
All right.
Yeah,
Okay, we got the river here.
interesting people. Okay, there we go. Oh, there we are.
We
Great.
are on we are on Tzadik Aleph, Amud Beis on the bottom, 91b. Lememra de Shmuel, Krab Shimon Svirle, we wanted to say that pouring the wine onto the coals of the Mizbeach, there's a lav to extinguish the coals. So we said it's totally in the machlokas between Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Shimon regarding Dover She'ena Miskave. And that Shmuel is going like Rabbi Shimon, who holds Dover She'ena Miskave, is permitted. Freit Gemara, Lemeimed Shmuel, Rabbi Shimon Svirle. Lamar Shmuel, another halacha. Mechabin gachela shmatechas preshus rabim. You're walking in the street and you see a metal burning coal, ignat. It's glowing white hot. So you're allowed to extinguish it. Bishvil shlo yizoku borabim. Because the tzibur, it's dangerous for them. Now, avaloga chela shel eitz, but not if it's wood. Extinguishing fire minatora applies to wood, not metal. The chachamim say you're not allowed to extinguish even a metal coal, but that's only rabbinic. When it comes to the tzibur, the rabbis get rid of their decree. Now, Isaac Shimon Svira law. Now, if you're going to tell me that Shmuel Zazuk, Rabbi Shimon, Afilu Kachela Shalei, it's not me. See, if it's a now, besides Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Shimon arguing in the terms of the concept of Dover Shem Miskavein, they also argue regarding Malacha Shein Tzricha Legufa.
You talking about Shabbos here?
We're talking about on Shabbos. Because we said that on using wine to pour it on the coals, there's a different law of being mechabe the fire on the mizbeach. But why is that okay? We said because Reb Shimon holds your intent is not to put out the coals. Your intent is to pour the wine. So according to Reb Shimon, Dover Shem Miskavein would be permitted. But now we're going to say that if you're going to hold like Reb Shimon, then even a piece of wood you'd be able to extinguish because you're not doing it.
No, that was
It's
Shabbos.
malacha she'ena tzricha legufa. That means they used, if, for example, if you carry something into a house because you're going to build something there, that's malacha she'tzricha legufa. Let's say you have a dead body in your house, and you carry it from the inside the house to the outside. So according to Rabbi Yehuda, who says Melacha Shein Tzrich L'Gufa is also usher, you're not allowed to do that. But according to Rabbi Shimon, Melacha Shein Tzrich L'Gufa is permitted. Because you're not trying to build something, you're trying to get rid of a corpse in your house, which you don't want in your house. So the same thing would apply regarding extinguishing that wooden piece of coal, if he held like Rabbi Shimon. So the Gemara says, "B'davar shem miskavein serve like Rabbi Shimon." Regarding the permissibility of pouring the wine on the mizbeach coals, ain't a chanami. He holds like Rabbi Shimon. Davar shem miskavein is permitted, but mebalacha shein tzrich legufa serve like Rabbi Yehuda. He holds like Rabbi Yehuda that melacha shein tzrich legufa is also usher. So you're not allowed to move a dead body out of your house. Rabbi Shimon says you are, but Rabbi Yehuda says you're not. And regarding that, Rabbi Shmuel holds like Rabbi Yehuda. Ravuna. Nesachim shenitmu. If wine libations became tamei, you don't take them out of the azara to burn it. Oislan maracha b'fnei atzman v'sorfan. You burn it b'kodesh. You make a grill in the azara and you burn it. Mishum shenemar b'kodesh ba'etz tisarev. Tainam hachi hadam v'ashemen v'amnachos v'nesachim shenitmu. Blood or oil or mincha or wine that became tamei. You make a special grill. I see libei bring me 10 people, kamayu, and I will announce in their presence. So he gave testimony. Okay, Tzadik Beis, Perek Achad Asar, the 11th Perek, Dam Chatas. Dam Chatas Shanitas ala Beged. There's a halacha that if the blood of a Chatas spurts on a Beged, Areza Ton Kibus, you have to wash it. And even though the pasuk writes this halacha regarding chatos that are eaten, the din is the inside chatos, like the par elam davar shul tzibur and the par and sor of Yom Kippur, all of those chatos, they're not eaten. Even so, if blood spatters on a beged, it requires kibbutz. Shenemar toiras achatis, toira achas v'chol achatos. One din. Now, a chatas psula, an invalid chatas, and the blood spurts, ein domaton kibbutz. Bein Shaisalosh Asa Kosher, whether the Chatas had any moment of being kosher, Ubein Shaloisalosh Asa Kosher. What's an example? Ezohi Shaisalosh Asa Kosher. A regular Chatas Shalana. The Chatas was left overnight. Or Vishanitba became Tomei. Or Vishayatas went out of the Azara. In those cases, if the blood spurts, it does not require kibbutz. You did it with a machshavas pigul, so they were never kosher. Or shekiblu psulin, the zark was dama. Or a apostle, a person received the blood and threw it, so there is never a time where the chatas blood was okay. Dam chatas. The Mishnah said the din applies both the chatos that are eaten and chatos that are not eaten. So then afilu chatas of nami. What about a bird chatas? Allah matanya yachol teidam chatas of ton kibus. I might think that if a bird chatas blood splatters on the beged, it would require kibus. Talmud Lomer zos. This zos taras achatas to exclude the din of achatas sa'o from kibbutz. Omer shlakish b'shum kapara. Omer krati shachet. Be'nishchas l'kosu medaber. Rish Lakish says we exclude a chatas sa'o because it refers to shchita, and the bird chatas is killed through malika. Frag the Gemara. Maybe requiring kibbutz is only those chatos that are eaten. But the inner chatos that are not eaten, maybe no. Rabbi Rachmana toiras. Zois toiras achatos. We said toira achas lekol chatos. Well, if it's toira achas, yochi afilu chatos soif nami. So why don't you include the bird chatas? Because mi'et rachmana zois. Zois tars achatas excludes the bird chatas. Now, from logic alone, why are you excluding the bird chatas and including the chatas apnimios? We could say the opposite. Umara Isa. Whenever the Gemara says Umara Isa, through logic, there was no way of choosing one versus the other. They used more data to choose. And that's coming. Mistavra, the logic was the chatas pnimius havalei l'ribui. It was more logical to include the inner chatas. Why? So shekain behema. So the chatas apnimios is also animals. It's not birds. That's number one. Shitas on sofa. You have to shecht in the north. A bird chatas you don't. Kabbalas bekli. Both an outside chatas and an inside chatas requires collecting the blood in a kli. The keren, you apply the blood to the corner of the mizbeach. The edzma, you do it with the finger. The chuda, you do it at the edge of the keren. The ishim, and then the emurim are burnt on the mizbeach. So all of those reasons are shared by the external chatas and the chatas apnimios. No, we could mention things that they share with chatas ha'of. Sheken chutz kamoisa. The external chatas and the chatas ha'of are both processed outside. Ve'achila kamosa, and you eat them. So the Gemara answers hanach nefisha. But the connections between the inner chatas and the outer chatas are more than the connections to the bird chatas. Rav Yosef Omar gives us another reason why we exclude the blood of the bird chatas from kibbutz. Amar Kra, Yochlena. lezu v'lo lacheres. Only this type of chatas that is eaten. Now, a chatas ha'of is also eaten, but from the language of the pasuk, it excludes one of them. B'ne echolos mi'ed ha'kosuv. The Torah is limiting one of the chatos that are eaten from the din of kibbutz. And what do I do with zos? Ilav zos havamina yochlena orcha dekra. I wouldn't have understood to teach yochlena that way. Kamash Milan, that we exclude one of the chatos that are eaten. Now, Rabba Omar kra asher yizeh, that the blood of a chatas that is sprinkled. Bizos hakos medaber. So the Torah is primarily talking about the inner chatas, not the outer chatas, where you sprinkle the blood on the paroiches, right? The Mishnah says we're talking about edible chatos. No, that's le'inyan mariko shtifa. When it comes to the din of, if you cook a chatas in a kli, you have to do shituf. You have to rinse it. You have to do agolos kelim to get rid of the flavor. Aval le'inyan kibus asher yizeh ksiv. We do follow this asher yizeh, which is the inner chatas. So, primary is the inner chatas. Secondary is the outer chatas. Well, based on that, iachi. The Gemara shouldn't have said echad and echolos v'echad apnimios. It should have the opposite. Echad apnimios v'echad and echolos maboile. So the Gemara accepts it. Tani echad apnimios v'echad and echolos. Iachi chatas of nami. You also are mazeh chatas of. Mi'ed rachman azos to exclude the chatas of. Iachi chitzon nami lo. Maybe the zos excludes the outer chatas. Riba rachmana toiras. It's included when we say Torah akas. Mara is, again, we ask, what's the logic? So, mistabra chatas behem avalele ribui. It makes more sense to include the external chatas behema along with the chatas apnimios. Shekain behema. They're both animals. Shchitas tzafon, they have to be shechted in the north. Kabbalah's kli, the blood has to be received in a kli. The blood is applied to the keren, the etzba, by the finger, the chuda, to the edge of the keren, the ishim. Adarab chadazov avalele ribui. Maybe I should include chadazov shekain azor kamoisa. You sprinkle it, hanach defishin, but there are more comparisons from the chatas pnimios to the external chatos to include the external chatos. Boy Ravavim. So we know, or we've learned, that if you shech the chatas and you collect the blood in a kli, and you walk that kli into the heichal, so we know the korban is invalidated. So now they want to know, chatas ha'ov sheichnis dama b'tzavara b'fnim ma'u. When you do malik on a bird, you don't collect the blood in a kli. You are mazah directly from the bird. The Gemara wants to know that if you walk into the heichal with the bird, is it invalidated as if you walked in to the heichal with a kli full of blood? Do we say tzavar kekli shoris dami umifsul? Do we say the physical presence of the blood in the neck of the bird is as if it's in a kli, and therefore the korban becomes invalidated? O dilma kitzaver behema midama amrachman v'lo b'sara. So if you brought an animal into the heichal after you shechted it, it doesn't invalidate it. It's only if you brought it in a kli. So maybe it's considered like the meat, not the da, toshma. Pirchus of anichnas lifnim v'chazra. If after malik of a bird, but before you did the hazah, the bird Pirchus is like shaking after death. And it shook so hard that it went a little bit into the Heichal, and then it came back out. The din is Ksheira, implying Haychnisa Psula. It seems to be implying that if the coin actually brought it in, it would be puzzle. So maybe the din is it's like a kli. Let's say you shecht an animal, an ola, and Pirkus had also shaked the Yotzel. It's supposed to stay in the north, but it moved into the south for Chazra, and then came back Sheva. But Hahotzi Psula? But if the coin moved it from the north to the south, it would be Puzzle? No. Elahai Yotzel L'chutz Tzrechalei. We're talking about being taken out of the Azara. Hachanami Yotzel L'chutz Tzrechalei. But it doesn't give us any information about what happens if you take it into the Heichel. Boy Ravavim. Nishpach ala ritzpa v'asfa mau. After you did the malika on the bird, the blood spilled on the floor, and then you gathered it into a kli. Now, normally you don't use a kli for the bird. The Torah didn't ask you to use a kli, but it doesn't say it's also. Hilkach oisvova kosher. So maybe it's okay. Maybe the Torah is saying that it's an invalidation if you collect it in the kli. I might think that the blood spurting on a garment of a bird chatas would require laundry, Talmud Loimer Zois, to exclude it. Now, if the Torah says you cannot use a kli, why do I need zos to say that you can't? It doesn't have a din of laundry. Maybe it doesn't apply because it became puzzle sort of through the airspace of the garment itself, which is like a kli. You pressed the bird onto the garment, and therefore it didn't travel through the airspace. So the zos is needed to still teach us that there's no kibbutz. Bormine Levi, nitas mi beged lebeged mau. We learned that if a blood of a chatas splatters on a beged, you have to do kibbutz. What if it splashed from one beged to another? Does the second beged need kibbutz? Mi beged kamo idchile kibbutz. So the first beged is pushed away. Maybe there's no permanent dichui. Ton kibbutz mimanavshach. Reish Lakish says that the second garment requires laundry no matter what you say. Kosher. If when you gather the blood from the first beged, you're still allowed to put it on the mizbeach hakosher, then it's personally good blood. And then if the second beged got that blood, you certainly would have to launder it. Also now, if it's considered that you gathered it and it's puzzle, anakram kivas file de omar. If a chatas was kosher for a period of time and only later became posel damaton kibbutz. So they said to Rebbe answered Levi, because Levi was questioning Rebbe, that either way would require kibbutz. Okay, stop here. So tonight we're going to learn Tzur Bud 8:00. See everybody in a few. About half.
Shkoyach, shkoyach.
Thank you.